I was born and raised in a small little village in Orissa, tribal area called Titilagad. My father was a small-time lumber businessman. It was an interesting, happy family. I remember as a child when my father bought first radio in Titilagad. You couldn't receive anything. So we as little kids would tune in the radio and just listen to the whistle. And it was great joy to listen to almost nothing. Studied for 5 years in Vidyanagar and then decided to go to Baroda. Went to college there, got a degree in physics, then studied for masters in physics, and one fine day read in the newspaper that Kennedy has decided to take man onto the moon. My brother, older brother, had great desire that I should go to America. So he said, this is the time you must go. But we didn't have money. Finally, we got some money from Orissa government and decided to go to the US. My wife came after I came to Chicago. After I got my degree in electrical engineering from Illinois Institute of Technology in Chicago, I got a job, company making television tuners. So in this company, I went to work for the first time, and my name Satyan is a little complicated. So when I get my paycheck, first paycheck, it says Sam. That's how I changed my name to Sam. I started business to manufacture digital switching systems with two Americans. We sold the company in 1979 to Rockwell International. Made a little bit of money. So I told my wife that I want to go to India. I saw in Delhi a funeral of telephones, dead phones. So I went to see Mr. Baria, a very nice gentleman, and I said, look, I have this wild idea on working on Indian telecom. So he said, if you really want to do something big, you must meet Mrs. Gandhi. I was told that I'm going to meet her, for 10 minutes, and I thought about it just before the meeting and I cancelled it. I said, I don't meet her for 10 minutes. If she's really serious, I must get 1 hour. Then I can explain to her what I want to propose. And everybody said, are you crazy? And after about 8 months, I got a call saying Mrs. Gandhi will meet you for an hour. And she had her entire cabinet there, all ministers. And Rajiv and his friends were also there. This gave me a chance to interact with Rajiv. And we were just about the same age. And we sort of clicked. And my message was, telecom is critical for nation building. I can help bring new digital technology and leapfrog. My proposal would be indigenous development, focus on access as opposed to telephone density, young talent, and rural communication. And then when Mrs. Gandhi died, learned that Rajiv will become Prime Minister. And then Rajiv was going to come to Washington. He was Prime Minister. And we got half an hour to meet him. He was so gracious, very welcoming, and talked to Anu and said, look Anu, what about children's school and admissions? And my wife was instantly ready to come back.
India was on rotary phones, less than 1 million total connections. The fastest way to speak to somebody was by way of booking a lightning call, which also would mature after 4 or 5 hours.
So Rajiv and I talked at length and I said, look, we have to take charge of the telecom department. But minister and the bureaucracy couldn't see somebody from outside coming in and taking charge of telecom. So I told Rajiv, you have to put your foot down. And we collectively put our foot down, set up a commission, and I was appointed chairman of Telecom Commission.
Most of the bureaucratic approach towards telecom was, it's a luxury, not required, not necessary, high security risks of private sector had no role to play. And that was the time when a person like Sam came, like I would say a messiah in the sector, and dramatically altered the I would say, basic foundations of the sector.
With the help of others in the telecom, put together a long-term plan, 3-year plan, and said we want to install STD PCOs everywhere.
He said access to a phone. So the public phone became his mantra to provide access to people.
And people will go there to make a phone call, pay cash, and we'll work out an arrangement with telephone company. They'll give 80% to telephone company, 20% they will keep, and you will create possibility for livelihood.
He wanted to bring out a rural telephone exchange every day from the telecom department, and it was technically impossible the way the structure was. He revitalized it.
In early days, we wanted to install one every week, which everybody thought was crazy. But then we said once a day. So I remember headline in India saying racks a day, hoax a day. Finally, we got to a point we were installing 3 every day.
In less than 20 years, you have a STD PCO in every village in India. You can ring up America, and everyone picks up a phone in India, in the village in India. They say Sam Zindabad.
Looked at the organizational structure for telecom to move forward, because C-DOT was one little piece of product. In those days, it was not about just designing a product. It was also about designing ecosystem, because India didn't make anything.
The switching industry was in the hands of a few, and those very lobbies were very active to ensure that India, when it was moving on to the telecom bandwagon in a big way, went for either ESS, the AT&T switch, or EWSD, the Siemens switch, or the Alcatel System 10. So all these companies were world giants, and they wanted India to buy those equipments.
So multinationals realized that there is a huge pressure from C-DOT. So cost per line just went down like crazy.
C-DOT is considered to be Sam's baby. Sam first came into India through C-DOT, a Center for Development of Telematics, which helped build up our own capability long before Infosys and Wipro and all these software companies. It was C-DOT.
Jack Welch, chairman of GE, came here, and he came here to sell engines. So I told Jack, I said, look, we want to sell you software. He said, I'm not buying software. I'm buying engine. I'm selling engines. I said, I'm not buying engines. He said, then we have nothing to talk. I said, fine. So he said, what do we do? I said, just have breakfast. And Jairam and Montek and others were upset because we locked horns. In about 90 seconds, which looked like 10 minutes, he said, okay, give me a presentation on software. So Jairam had put together a nice presentation.
So why don't you look upon India as a source for software?
And GE gave us $10 million order.
And they shortlisted Infosys. And we were one of the early beneficiaries of the software work from GE, which was a big leg up to us at that time.
In those days, even we wanted to make 1 million computers per year. So we had the whole scheme worked out. But everybody kept saying there isn't enough market in this country. So one day I told him, I said, look, we should talk to Gorbachev. Right after dinner, tell him you want him to meet Sam and 2 other friends.
Because I think Mr. Gorbachev was made to be aware of India's technological expertise in that 1 hour.
His ability to convince the political leaders to take a direction was very strong. And therefore, when we say the 1984 onwards there had been a revolution in IT in India, I'm absolutely sure that he had at least the direct or indirect hand in convincing political leadership in moving in that direction.
We worked on technology mission, telecom, and many other activities 18 hours a day. I was in charge of immunization. I called a meeting of all 70 experts on immunization in Asiad village. And I told them, I said, look, I'm going to lock you people up until you come up with a compromise on how we want to handle polio in India.
Sam was not a good manager, but he was a great leader.
We lost election. VP Singh became Prime Minister I was very concerned. So Unnikrishnan became Minister of Communication. He had a job to do, I had a job to do. So then he set up a committee to investigate, had allegations against me of all kinds.
He was a very successful telecom entrepreneur. He had hundreds of patents to his name. He could have carried on making a large empire, financially speaking, in America under his own guard. I think he was clearly enamored by public service, which even today one can sense he is. He came to India, he felt he can make a difference, and I think he gave up all that he had back home to serve India and make a deep impact.
That my children and my wife started getting a lot of harassment. And I still remember, this was about 6 o'clock in the evening or 7 o'clock, and the head of Financial Times in India, Englishman, came to my house and he said, "Do you know what happened this afternoon?" I said, "No." He said, "There were attacks on you and they're going to do this to you and do that to you." And my wife and my children were there at home and they heard all this. So I sent them back to US and I was by myself. Then my wife was visiting from US and I had stomach pain at middle of the night. And my wife, knowing the pressure I was under, she said, "We are going to go to Escort." I said, "It's only stomach pain." Immediately went to Escort. So they did angiogram and found I had 8 arteries blocked. So he said, "You have to go through bypass." Came out of surgery, went to office, started work again as chairman, Telecom Commission. And then elections were announced, another elections after a while. So started working with Rajiv on elections. And while he was traveling all over, we'll meet, talk, but I never went out with him because I was still working as chairman, Telecom Commission. And that evening, I got a call that Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated, blown out, died. It's a big shock, you know. Probably the biggest shock of my life, you know. And just didn't know what to do. Went to his house, you know, did all that stuff that everybody else did. Thought about what to do next. And realized that this phase has to end in life. Rajiv had died. Narasimha Rao was Prime Minister. I worked with him and I went to him and I said, "Look, I got to go back to US. I have to earn some money. Because in India, I can't make money. And I don't want to make money in India in telecom. Because I don't want somebody to come back to me and say, that's why you did all this stuff. So when the right time comes, you can cash in." Okay. I said, "I don't want cellular license. I don't want to do anything. You know, I'm very clear because I don't want anybody to point finger at me at some point in time, saying, here, this master plan, you know." So I went back to US, but then I didn't have a visa to go back because I had given up my passport. I went on a tourist visa.
I would call him a dreamer. A dreamer who has desired to convert dreams into reality.
He looks at the simple sides of solutions and he wants to get it done. And he will use all his powers and even abuse all his powers in a good way to make sure that it happens. That's Sam Pitroda.
I discount all the awards given by the government, you know. And we name roads after the most obscure people, so I don't think that's a great acknowledgement either. I think work is the greatest acknowledgement. He's motivated a lot of people, as I said, and he continues to do that.
Poor wife has paid the price. Okay, I don't blame her, you know. Somebody has to pay the price. I had my kicks. I told her that, look, when I was 20-year-old, I fell in love with you. When I was 40-year-old, I fell in love with India again. You know. So I would say of all the people in this journey, wife has suffered the most because she lost me a long time ago in terms of mental attention. You know, you're so possessed by all these crazy ideas, innovations and opportunities and mind. And you're not a normal person. because you are not a politician. You don't have a job like a scientist or engineer or professor or teacher. You're not a businessman. Sometimes you don't know who you are. It's perfectly okay. I already had another heart attack in 2005. I already had cancer. Okay. I'm 66 years old. Okay. But I must say that BJP government had been nice to me. I must say that. You know, Mr. Bajpayee was very good to me. Even Mr. Advani has been personally very good to me. They all have been nice to me. You know, Muni Krishna was just one little, incident in life. But overall, even at the end of the day, VP Singh changed the minister. Okay, so I would say overall, people of India have been very generous to me, and I genuinely mean